Thank you for joining our webinar, Discovering DSARs Across the Enterprise. I'm Angela Abogu from Northdoor. Northdoor is a distributor business partner providing licenses, consultancy and support for both Geolang and Infognito technologies. During this webinar, we'll discover how these technologies can help automate, discover and action DSARs across the enterprise. You will have joined in listen-only mode. This presentation will be recorded and we will receive a link to this post-webinar. Please feel free to add questions via the chat and we'll keep a lookout for those throughout the presentation. So firstly, let's hear from Rob Batters, our Director of Managed and Technical Services at Northdoor, to set the scene on DSARs.
Good morning, everybody. Just need to share my screen for you so you've got what I need to show you in front of you. And bear with me while I get the technology right. I beg your pardon.
That's okay, Rob.
There we go. Nearly there. Right, where are we? Okay, so I thought I'd add a little bit of background and context to the discussion before we start talking about technology solutions. It's Article 15 of the General Data Protection Regulations that gives individuals the right to access and receive a copy of their personal data. Now, if they do so, this becomes a data subject access request, otherwise known as a DSAR. Beg your pardon. Now, every data subject has the right to make a request from a data controller. And since the time to respond to a DSAR is 1 month, or perhaps 3 months for a particularly complex request, it follows that you need to recognize when you've actually received one. Now, the ICO says that DSARs may be made verbally, they can be made in writing, so emails or perhaps through a website or something. But of course, this also includes social media, quite interestingly. Now, if that wasn't enough, then your response must be provided when you give it back in an intelligible format and be provided securely. So it follows that you need some form of process and of course a system of record for all of this. This is just as important as any technical solution that you deploy to actually find the data in the first place. A DSAR capture and response process might look a little bit like this. So you need to recognize when you've had a data subject access request. You've actually received one from somewhere, some medium somehow. Most importantly, next, you need to authenticate that the person giving the request is actually who they say they are and is actually entitled to access the data that they're requesting. Now, once you've done that, you need to inform the appropriate internal personnel that they have a job to do. Maybe there's more than one, maybe there's more than one process internally to answer all of this. And then once they start work, they in turn have now got to start locating personal information from wherever it is. They'll need to extract and review it. That could be from multiple places. And once they've reviewed it, they've got to decide that if there's anything in there that they shouldn't be giving out under certain circumstances, so it can become quite a complicated procedure. And then finally, that information that's been requested must be delivered back to the requester securely and in a form that they can receive. Now, all of this process needs to be captured for later review should it be required by some kind of audit function, say, for example, by the ICO. So having put some kind of process in place, let's have a look at statistics that are out there to see how people are actually doing with all this. There's been some statistics published in the first year after the introduction of the GDPR, and there's some interesting facts and figures here. The references for all these will be in the summaries that we send out to you afterwards. 71% of firms have experienced a lot more DSARs from their own employees. About 92% of those have been around some kind of workplace problem. 67% have experienced increased costs as a result of having to put these processes in place, but 58% had no process whatsoever. 40% of the businesses didn't know where their data is stored at all. And given that typically most firms have about 500,000 files with that data in, perhaps that's not surprising, but it does go to show the size of the task involved. And finally, given all of that, only about 20% of businesses have actually adopted some kind of new software or technology to actually deal with DSARs. So quite a gap there, I think. Now, one data controller we can use as an example, and this information is in the public domain, and we'll include some of this in the pack as well when it goes out. This is Kent County Council, and they reported that both DSARs and Freedom of Information Act requests were on the increase. They've regularly struggled to deal with them, and they've had multiple escalations to the ICO as a result. And all of this has also been alongside a quite dramatic increase in the number of security incidents that they've experienced. And they're not alone. There are a number of common challenges faced by data controllers. The difficulty in actually finding their data in the first place, and others will talk about that after me in this very seminar. Verifying the ID of the requester, the sheer number of requests involved and the cost of the associated work in actually servicing them, and of course how to recognize a DSAR in the first place. Now, all of that wasn't enough. There is, of course, the increasing rise of the insider threat as a result of all of this. So, in fact, maliciously motivated DSARs are a fact out there, and in most circumstances you can't anymore hide behind a charge as a way of preventing them or stopping them coming through. This is now a significant and costly threat to most businesses, and organizations frankly are just not helping themselves. Blackhat.com are a US-based provider of security events and training services and security data. And in 2019, they published a white paper, and the results of it can be seen here. About a quarter provided the data that was requested through a DSAR without verifying the ID of the requester at all. People just putting their foot straight in it there by providing information they shouldn't be giving out. Very poor security. Only 39% required some kind of strong ID. And given that, you know, there are various reasons that exist for actually placing a DSAR that isn't honest, and they're across the bottom there: redundancy, grievances, just harassing an organization you don't like, and so on and so forth. Really, there's every reason to put a stronger process around all of this. So I'll finish now with a look at what the real problem is here, and then my friends on the call will actually look at how we address it. You need to know where your data is. If an organization doesn't know where their data is, then that organization is actually encumbering the DSAR response process. And what is more, as you can see from those statistics, is exposing itself to a major security issue. So thank you for listening. So what I'll do now is I'll pass back to Ange, and she can take it from there. Thanks, Ange.
Great, thanks, Rob. Let me just back to here. Great. Okay, so this is where Geolang and Infognito come in. You'll see how Geolang's product, Schema, will discover unstructured data across the enterprise, and Infognito's product, JumbleDB, across the structured data, so databases. Okay. So I'd like to now introduce Darren and Chris.
Yeah.
I'll hand over to you, Darren.
Thank you, Angela. So, yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the call today. My name is Darren Leach. I'm the UK Channel Manager here at Secure Envoy. I've also got my colleague, Chris Cassell, who's one of our senior technical consultants today. And as discussed, we're a UK-based data security vendor, and we're going to be talking about how our SEMA tool can help with those challenges around responding and understanding data subject access requests. Just an initial introduction to who we are as a business. Some of the key things regarding Geolang is, first of all, is that we are a UK business. We've been around for sort of nearly 15 years. Our original technology was actually founded on when we were working with a well-known car manufacturer to work on a data discovery project way back then. And since that time, we've really evolved our technology now to a wider data discovery discussion across DSARs and other challenges within data discovery. So, a leading UK security vendor and helping challenges across data discovery. So, in initial introduction to the SEMA data discovery platform, there's a number of key benefits regarding the solution. First of all, it's a really easy to use GUI management platform. It allows you as a customer or organizations to easily find sensitive data across the digital estate, and that's across from endpoints, servers, and cloud applications. It allows the organizations to build policy-specific DSAR requests, and we will show that in the demo shortly, and also allows organizations to remediate against those responses and build reporting of that as well. And the key thing as we look more at the platform is that the ease of use and how simple it is to run it as a tool within the organization. One of the other key things is the flexibility on the connectors. Just to add on the connectors as well, with the range of flexibility that we will talk about shortly as well. As you can see here, one of the key things with the product also is the dashboard, which my colleague Chris will go into detail. But from a single platform and that dashboard, it allows you to build policy, run reports, and give clear visibility of data DSAR requests and reporting on that as well. So really nice, simple, easy tool to approach the challenges of data subject access requests. So what I would do now is pass over to my colleague Chris, who will give a technical insight to how the platform looks and how you can run reports and policies on achieving those challenges around data DSARs.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Darren. Let's grab that. And that should now be showing you my schema screen. Is that coming through for everyone?
Perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, let's talk through what we can do for you. So, as was mentioned earlier, two of the primary things you need to be able to do to answer DSARs is locate that data and then extract it. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in that unstructured data space. So this is the bulk of your data. This is going to be your Word documents, your Excel documents, your emails, all those places where people put data on a day-to-day basis, sometimes by accident without really knowing where it is. So that's where we're going to concentrate. So a schema is a full data discovery tool, and it can discover that data across a variety of different places. And that helps with the locate. But when we talk about DSARs, we really need to be able to extract that as well. So we'll do both at once in the data retrieval task. As you can see on the dashboard, we've already got an awareness of where some of our data is on some of these desktops, how many files are containing data, how many matches are within those files, and a variety of searches we've done, and some of the endpoints we can look at. So let's have a look at a task. So we can search endpoints and file servers. So that'll be all the documents people are holding on their desktops and laptops, which is obviously very important nowadays because people are working from home an awful lot more. So they're generating a lot more data locally, as sometimes they may have connectivity problems putting it up to servers, or they may just want something they can work on offline whilst they're watching TV and that sort of thing in the evening. So endpoints are getting increasingly vital. File servers are obviously where the bulk of the data is stored for an organization, and increasingly nowadays in the cloud as well. So we support things like Office 365, so OneDrive for Business, Google, so Google Workspaces, Atlassian Confluence, and Alfresco. So these allow us to go and search those areas for that data, and let's pick up a task we've done. So when we're making a task, we get to name it, so we can actually say what that task is going to be called, so we can then refer to it in those dashboards and those menus later. We can look at the priority of that task. That's going to say how much resources we're going to be pushing into that task when we're actually doing those searches. This is important as some tasks, when you're just locating data, you want to make a low priority. You might have 30 days to do that data subject access request, so you don't need to push all of the devices' CPUs till they're red glowing hot. But it may be one, unfortunately, you've forgotten about, and you need to be able to push it to real quickly and efficiently. And then we can put this task up, make the machines run a little bit higher to get that information to you faster. So you can tune these results very quickly to actually how urgent that request is. Then when we've found that data, we're going to extract it and put it into a known location, which we'll look at in a moment. Then we're going to say, well, what data are we looking for? Well, we come in with a lot of pre-built patterns, so we can actually look for GDPR data and those sorts of things, but that's too generic for a DSAR. You may want to do that, as mentioned earlier. Some companies just don't know where their sensitive data is at all, and this would allow you to do searches to actually find out where that is. You can start planning and securing that data, but what we're far more interested in is specifically a data subject access request. So that's when we'll be looking into keywords about a person. So a name, me, for example, maybe a customer reference number you hold about me in some internal system, or maybe my national insurance number, which this obviously isn't, but it's structured like a national insurance number. We can add these keywords. So anything you know about a person, maybe their email address, for example, you can enter those fields into here to actually form a list of keywords that you'll be able to generate. It may be actually have that list of keywords automatically generated for you by a system. Maybe you can extract them from something as a comma separated value file or a text file, and then you can just upload that file and gather all of these keywords at once, or you can enter them separately as required. As you can see, it's a fairly simple thing to do. So if I needed to add one, you could just add email addresses, whatever you need into there, and add them. Just adding a new keyword, click add, it adds it to the search. So with that, we can then start saying about pattern settings. So how confident do we want to be? So do we care whether we want high quality data here. In some of the searches, when you're just searching for data, you might not care that it is exactly correct because you're just getting an awareness of your data. With this, you need to be 100% sure the data you're finding is the right data, because you don't want to risk exposing data to a subject that isn't theirs. So make sure we're going to use high confidence, so it's exactly what we're looking for here. Then we could specify where we're going to search, so we can look for what type of documents we're going to look into. I'd suggest in a subject access request, you want to do all of them because you don't want to miss any data. That would be unfortunate in these instances. But we can search in a variety of documents on Apple devices, Linux devices, or Windows devices. We can search inside email archives, so we'll extract it from local emails if you've got things like Outlook holding your emails. And emails is a vital thing to be able to search for subject access requests. Lots of data gets exchanged there. Your sort of Word documents, other text documents, in compressed files, so even if it's holding a zip file, that's absolutely fine. We can extract it from there, so it won't be able to hide from us anywhere. In our cloud environments, we can select which areas of those cloud environments. So we're going to search on cloud email as well, because again, email is very important. Maybe in Teams messages, in those OneDrive sites, on Google Drive, Google Mail, and again, Atlassian and Confluence pages and all those sorts of areas. So when we're searching, we want to make sure we're going to hit all of those locations to really get that data that's vital to us. Then we can create that task and we can run that task. I'm not going to run it just at the moment because I've already, as we say, here's one I made earlier. So if I go back to my tasks, here's one we run earlier. And what we can do is we can go into these tasks, see where we're going to search, which machines we're going to search on, and then look at those reports for those tasks. So we go into here. So in my dashboard, I've got a retrieval, and this will allow me to go in and see where we're going to find those datas. So we're going to find them in that repository we spoke about. So let's switch to that repository. So we've done location by running this tool. Now we've done the extraction. So if we come into here, this is the directory where I told it to look for. Endpoint Manager, my retrieval results, and it'll give me a time and date stamp so I can know exactly which search I'm talking about. This was a search today at 8:41. And here's my results. So it's extracted these bits of data for me. So I've got a PDF which has exactly the data I was searching for. Excellent. It's got some other documents as well, some invoices which mention my name. I've got some file details or some DSAR results there. Even my Google directories where I've got files from Google. And it'll give me a breakdown of those by actually telling me what file details we've got, where these files came from. So it gives you a full breakdown of where these files came from, you know, who they belonged to. So if we expand some of these out, you can see where they were located, exactly what file they were, where they came from, what path, when they were created, when they were modified. So you can really filter that information once you've extracted it to say, this is the information I need. This is where it came from. This is what I need to respond on. And this is how we're going to deal with that data. So as you can see, it was as simple as maybe a minute or two's click through this nice GUI interface to actually get down to that information, arrange for its retrieval into a known location so I could know exactly where that data is going to be put on my system. And then that data is presented to me nice and easily in a simple format, along with a file which actually gives me a full breakdown of all of the details about that file, where it came from. So this eliminates that locate and extract on any of that unstructured data. And hopefully that will explain just how quick and easy that is for you. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to hand you back to Ange to hand over to the next.
Great, thank you, Chris. I'll just go back to sharing my screen again. Great, yes, thanks, Chris, thanks, Darren. Next up, I'd like to hand over to Noam and Oded from Infognito.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Angela, and thank you all for joining us. We will try to do it to show our system, to show what we are doing regarding databases. I would like to present Oded Raz, who is our CEO and CTO, and Oded will show you the system and show you what we can do and how do we provide a complete solution regarding databases and locating and discovering sensitive data in the databases. Oded, do you want to take your screen to share your screen? Oded?
Yes, just unmuting.
Noam, do you want me to keep hold of these 3 slides for you to work through those?
No. I think Oded will bring out the demo and show you.
Noam, you don't want to go over the 3 slides just as a opener, and then I will go into this presentation? I think it's preferred.
Okay,
so go for it, Angela.
Okay, one moment. I'll just take back control. Okay. Over to you, Noam.
Okay, so again, thank you for joining us this morning, and we would like to present Infognito. We are an Israeli cybersecurity company dealing and specializing in dealing with sensitive data with databases. We focus on databases. This is our main area of expertise in the last 15 years. And the system that we developed, the Infognito, with our compliance dashboard, is aimed for the data subject access rights and actually providing you the abilities to locate the sensitive data, the PII, the PHI in your databases. One of the, or some of the main abilities of the system will be keeping track of where the sensitive data is stored in your databases and data lakes. Increase accuracy for data classification processes, and actually developing sophisticated engines with correlation in order to provide an accurate map as possible of all the private and classified and sensitive data in your databases. We are providing with our system automatically PII, PHI, and sensitive data policies, which allows you to get notification whenever new sensitive data is added to the databases. Our system allows you to generate sensitive scoring for each database and object according to the number of sensitive data or private data and the quality of the data found in the databases. We allow you to create and export sensitive reports on timely basis, and we do put a lot of effort in developing the REST API in order for us to interface and integrate the system with third-party systems like SIEM, SOAP, DLP, and others as well. Just for you to get the taste of the look and feel of the system, you can see here our compliance dashboard, and we try to build it in a very, very simple way that you will be able to see the executive summary of the finding of our scans. You will be able to do a drill down into the findings here, whether it will be on the database level or the column level or the objects level. You will be able to go into any details like credit card or any others and see where it is spread across the databases. In our roadmap, we have a full development trying to answer GDPR and other regulation requirements like the right to be fecunded and other, and we are adding more and more features all the time. Thank you, Angela. Oded, would you like to show the demo, please?
Yes. So, hi everyone. Angela, how can I share my screen?
So you can just take over from Zoom. There you go.
Okay, guys. So, hi everyone. Just before we jump into the demo, as you guys already have seen, how challenging it is to find sensitive data inside your file systems and endless files of the organization. Our product, which is Infognito, provide very similar solution, but for the data stores area. As you guys know, a lot of the organizations today has many data stores holding their data. And why I'm using the name data store and not database, because once upon a time, 10 years ago, you would have an Oracle database or maybe an Oracle DB2 database, and that's it. But nowadays, you have many data stores that holds both structured and unstructured data that acts as databases, like MongoDB, which is actually documents stored inside database engine, like Hadoop, which is indexed file system. And you can even consider some of the SaaS services like ServiceNow, SuccessFactors, Salesforce as data stores that holds data about our customers, if it's Salesforce, or if it's a SuccessFactors, it holds data about our employees. So as you understand the challenge of knowing where the sensitive data, and PII, of course, is a subset of our sensitive data. So the challenging of knowing where sensitive data is stored inside the entire organization data store is growing all the time. It used to be simple because we only had 1, 2, or 4 central databases, but nowadays you might have 20, 30, or 40 types of data stores and hundreds or thousands of databases that can hold data about our customers. So what we are trying to do with Infognito is to simplify the process of both discovery of sensitive data, classification of sensitive data, and the difference between discovery and classification sometimes getting confused. Discovery is all about finding if a column contains sensitive data or not. Classification is knowing what type of sensitive data a column contains, because a comment column might contain several types of sensitive data. A comment column can contain name, email, and phone number, but a dedicated column can hold only credit cards. So there is a slight difference between discovery and classification. And of course, as Rob mentioned in the last slide of his presentation, DSAR is only part of the problem. Okay, because not only for DSAR, but only for a lot of types of regulations, you need to know exactly where the sensitive data is stored inside your organization databases / data stores. So Infognito Compliance Dashboard allow you to do exactly that. The only thing you need to do is to connect your databases, data stores to Infognito. We have as a predefined, very rich data dictionary. By the way, it can be tailored, it can be changed, it can be modified, altered, delete, etc. But we have predefined, very rich, sensitive data dictionary. And the only thing you need to do is to connect your databases to our Infognito data classification engine and sit back and let Infognito do the rest. What we are doing, we are not classifying the data and discovering the data according to the column names. We are actually retrieving data from each and every tables inside your databases and data stores, of course, and try to work and classify what were all the results set to find out which columns and tables contain sensitive data. So as you can see, our dashboard is very straightforward. You can see in here that in our demo environment, we connected 5 databases. All of those 5 databases contain sensitive data. You can see which database contain the most sensitive columns. So AdventureWorks, which is, by the way, SQL Server, contains 16 sensitive columns, but DVD Center, which is MySQL, contains only 11, Sakila, which is MySQL, etc., etc. You don't have to be the same database. You don't have to be the same type of database. We are going to normalize the view, and you will get the central data, the central reports and everything normalized. By the way, if you want, you can also change the view. And of course, last but not least, you can always perform a drill down. And if you want to see, you can get a very nice and accurate idea which data is stored in each database. So you can see that in the AdventureWorks, we found 7 sensitive categories. You can add as many categories as you want, but you know, we have a pretty nice list of predefined built-in categories. And we can also drill down to actually see the tables and columns. We can actually see the table and columns that contain the sensitive data, including, by the way, a samples values. Why we bring the sample values? Because we believe it's very important that you have a one-stop shop. You will not need to go to the database. You don't need your DBA anymore. And this is exactly the point with Infognito. You don't need your project manager, the data owner, the DBA to know where sensitive data is stored, what table contains sensitive data and what's not. And of course, you will not need the DBA to get a very simple DSAR report. So we have the database overview. We have also some columns overview. It's more of the same. You can do a drill down. These are the columns and these are the categories ordered by sensitivity. These are the categories ordered by occurrences. But what I wanted to emphasize that this is not enough. Because when you are handling with data stores, you also need to identify which are the keys objects that hold the most data that can cause the most damage if it will leak to other hands. So for each table and each object that we are classifying, we are going to provide a sensitivity score according to many factors like the row numbers, which database it belongs, how many sensitive categories it contains, etc., etc. And will allow you to know which are the most sensitive objects. One nice feature of our dashboard is the automatic policy and alerts. We can, after the first time we are scanning each and every database, we are going to create, Infognito creating a security policy for this data store or database, allowing us to continuously scan this data store and database every day, every week, every month. And we will get notifications where new sensitive data is added to this data store. So you will always know, and you will always be on top and in control about which sensitive data each and every data store holds. You can see that I've got an alert here that there is a new column added to this data store. And we detected a client email on a table employee, which means there was an existing table called HR employee, and a new, because of new version or something like that, a new column was added to it. And now we can see that there is a new column that contains sensitive data. It is medium because it's taken into consideration the sensitivity of the category it belongs, etc., etc. And of course, in this dashboard, in our next version, you will be, which will come in a few weeks from now, you also will be able to verify, okay, and to get detailed DSAR reports, and also to verify that the right to be forgotten Article 17 was performed correctly. Because we know where sensitive data is stored across all of your databases, it is very easy for us to build a map for each and every customer and employee, knows which table contains what type of sensitive data about this customer and employee. And our Infognito, our compliance dashboard, will provide a very detailed report, of course, of the DSAR, which means which databases, tables, and column contains data, sensitive or PII data about each and every customer and employees. And we will also provide a verification process for Article 17, which allow you to make sure that all the relevant sensitive data was deleted for those customers or employees who requested to exercise Article 17. So this is what we wanted to show you today. I want to thank you, everyone. Questions, Angela?
That's great. Thank you. I'll just, if you just release the screen back to me.
I don't want to.
That's great. No.
No.
Excellent. Great. Okay. Let me just share the final slide there. Great. Okay. Right. I'd like to say thank you to Darren and Chris from Geolang, and Noam and Oded from Infognito, and of course Rob from Northdoor for presenting today. As you've all registered for this event, then you're entitled to a free proof of concept. My contact details are here, and I'll forward out the presentation, and you'll get the recording link for this as well shortly. So on that note, thank you all very much for joining us today, and have a good day. Bye for now.